starting. It
Oh,
hasn't
we're
started
live.
yet.
Oh no, I did it
We're
again.
live.
I'm sorry, we did it. Oh, damn it. Sorry. Yes, Hailey's running this hangout. And oh, my channel. How about that? My channel on the wall, Ben Baseland. Right. Okay. Just some little promotion there. So, you know, it was your idea to do this video. Not that I'm blaming you.
Yes. Okay. So we were in the middle of discussing who was going to do the introduction, and I was like, why don't we just start it? I'm sorry, guys. I'm not really concerned about giving y'all formal videos, which maybe I should be, but I'm not. This is more just for you guys to kind of see me interact with someone else. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, so.
I've got a list. It's best just to ignore the audience and just think it's me and they. So I'll just say to the audience. Let's see what's on here. We've known each other for not very long. In fact, today is our 1 week anniversary. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Right, what have I got here? Oh yes, I've got a little joke to show you because I do show you some funny things every now and then. Right there.
So you made a list for us? Did you make a list?
Well, I made a little list in case I didn't rise to the occasion, and it's like if this does okay, then I might do things. I've got my reputation on the line here. No, not joking. But yeah, I like to have like a safety net of material that's worked in the past. Now, this might sound a bit strange, but I searched for some square melons because I recalled my entry in a caption.
What?
Some square melons.
Square melons?
Yes, some square melons. They exist. I'll show you. I'm not joking. I know you are high.
Grow them in the containers, right? That they take the form of the container. They don't naturally grow that way.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Right. So what I thought was, I saw this in a magazine and I entered, like, there was a caption competition. And I wrote, 2 present hungry birthday boys refuse to be deterred by new craze in gift wrap.
Oh, Ben. I'm looking at this photo here. Let me click on it so I'm not having to watch myself sit here and talk. I'm looking at this photo and how they are like interesting. I might stop in a supermarket to look at one and touch it and pick it up, but I would never spend my money on something like this unless, you know, I was fully intending to eat it, which I mean, I would eat it if I spent money on it, but I'm saying like, I spent a few extra dollars to purchase a square melon versus a round one sitting next to it. I would just buy the round one.
It's so lucky that this is actually like the one that was in the magazine because I needed a guy that was actually looked like he was trying to get inside this thing. So, you know, so that it would work. The joke about the gift wrap.
Gotcha.
Oh yes, there's one thing. If you ever if you know how I did that thing before when you were in like my hangout and I said click on the square. Now,
yes.
I've written some out as well. I've got it up at you are screen sharing, Ben. Oh no! How do I stop? How do I stop the screen share when it's at my end? Okay, how do I stop? I can't stop the screen share. No! Oh, I'm back.
There it is.
Right, so I've written something else. I've written this out. Right. Whatever you do, Hailey, please don't click on my square unnecessarily, because if you do, the resultant YouTube video would be stuck on me, and neither the audience, and more importantly, nor I would want that. Okay.
Gosh, you're too kind to me. Okay, yeah, I understand. How do I set it back on how it's automated? Where when I say something, they see me. When you say something, they see you. Because at this point, I'm having
you unclick it. You just click it again so that the white border disappears.
Okay. Top.
Yep. It should switch back.
Okay. Great. Yeah.
Matching outfits today. Oh yes. By the way, what a great outfit choice. How did you happen across that one?
Oh goodness, you know, I just thought everyone on YouTube might want a nice flash.
Right, excellent.
Yeah.
I thought you might reveal some behind the scenes info then.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know.
Right.
Yes, everyone, this top was requested. It was requested that I wear this, so I'm humoring Mr. Ben today.
Plus, also, you did say in one video that you really like that top, and that
I do.
critics should F off. So I've done those.
Yeah.
So already I've burnt like 3 or 4 jokes. Yeah. So like, but when I do talk to Hailey, like, it's not all jokes, but you know, I've got to heighten things, get into a rhythm. Oh, here's one. Right. So this is from share my screen, and then shouldn't cause too much of a problem. So this is from Ernst Kretschmer. So basically, from cyclothymes and schizothymes, you can work out which ones are the intuitive types and which ones are the sensing types. So if we're thinking about sensing types, and if you're thinking about jolly organizers, which type do you think that is?
Well, I noticed they're used to spelling with organizers. There was another word where the S and the Z are recognized. I think in your part of the world, you guys spell it with an S and we spell it with a Z. That is totally getting off topic. I'm sorry, but first thing I noticed.
I think I bring out the NE in you, because I go off topic. You mirror that. But yeah, I mean, so the cyclothymes are the sensing types. So you've got SPs and SJs. So who's more likely to be an organizer, an SP or an SJ?
Well, from what you just told me, an SP? I don't know.
No,
I don't know much about this.
Oh, right.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I do, because I don't.
Okay. So SJs are the organizers, and the jolly SJ is.
Oh, okay, the schedulers, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and who?
Gotcha.
And the jolly SJ is ESFJ. So I just thought it was amusing when I saw jolly organizer, and then tough whole hogger might be ESTJ. And then you got ones over here on
wait,
the.
What's a whole hogger?
Yeah, tough whole hogger.
I've never heard that expression.
A whole hogger, they go the whole hog, like all the way. So it's like ESTJ.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, for instance, if you think it's schizothymes, like you got maybe some INTJs might fit these roles somewhere. You've got exactologicians, systematists, metaphysics, and then other ones like cold calculators. Those.
Yeah, we were discussing one of those the other night.
Oh yeah. Someone
yes.
you know. Oh, someone you know. Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah, someone I know.
This is just random, but yes, that's the thing. You've just reacted to her face, the expression on her face. I think that's a brilliant reaction shot. Now, the reason why that happened was yes, I love it. In fact, so that character is called Shelley Godfrey. She's an incarnation of number 6. She's an android. Actually, that's wrong. She's a gynoid, because android means like a man, in the form of a man.
Oh my gosh.
That's actually true. Gynoid, so gynoid.
Word today, everybody. Jeez, a gynoid. Okay.
Oh yes. So at this point, the guy, she's just like given a clever explanation, and the other baddie has said, "Very clever," or is it the glasses? And I just think the reaction shot is just fantastic. I love that as a reaction shot. Right, so let's burn through these jokes and then we can done square. See, I thought I'd get a reaction from you when I said I searched for some square melons. Right then. Oh yes, here's something. Oh, there we go. This will be right up your alley.
Okay. Do you want me to
Yeah, you
discuss
can tell.
this
Yeah. Oh yes.
again?
Yep.
Okay. So for everyone who, and I'm sorry, Ben, you're gonna have to hear it again. It's not I'm not so much grammar. It's just like the things that I feel, the universal differences in words that I feel everyone should know. That is what annoys me. Like when people can't tell the difference between the theirs, the there, and there, like over there, that is their book, that the twos and stuff like that. Just the general grammatical, that is what peeps me. I'm not really so much anal about everything else though. But yes, that would be a badge I would have to sew on my shirt.
Would you forgive me if in future I put "you are" because it covers both? Or did you expect me to get it right?
Wait, if you did what?
If I put "you" and "are" because that covers your and your. Oh, you expect?
You're gonna have to. I don't understand what you're saying.
Okay. Where's my purple highlighter?
A purple highlighter.
Oh, I've got all colours. I've got all the extant colours of highlighters.
Are they scented?
Oh, I've got to be careful to smell it without getting it on my nose. So I will use.
Well, correction. They're all scented.
I'm gonna try and
they don't smell good.
So I'm gonna use the mirror to get the right distance.
Okay.
No scent. No one's gonna get high on that. You're not gonna see any kids in the alleys smoking highlighters. Right. So there we go. Oh yeah. So if you click on my, although when I'm talking. Well,
I mean, now, since you've asked me about it, I won't, like, if anyone else sends me messages along those lines and they, like, do that kind of a thing, that kind of annoys me, because I feel like, you can't take the extra 3 seconds and
I'll take that.
Hit a few extra keys. But, I mean, since you've asked me, and I know you're not just, well, yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah. Right, because a lot of times I can make mistakes when, and now because of you, I take that extra effort to proofread it. It's just that when I get tired, my touch typing goes to hell a little bit.
Well, I mean, Ben, I'm not going to think you're any kind of you're any less intelligent or anything if you, okay. I had a bad grammar slip earlier. I was just, busy and
no, you were right.
Like, it doesn't have to be perfect.
When you said...
No, my tense was wrong. The tense was wrong.
Oh, the tense was wrong,
yeah,
but the verb to be was right. But the verb to be was right.
I don't have my phone by me, or I would look at what we wrote.
Yeah, because...
We were talking about doing hangouts, and then I said that I wasn't aware that it was going to be just you and I. What did I say? I wasn't aware that I need to get my phone. Me. I'll be back. I can't hear you. Give me like 10 seconds.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Right then.
Okay. I'm back. And I can't hear you. I can't right now.
Oh, okay. I'm just right. Okay.
Yes, I'm almost positive I had the tense wrong, but I didn't proofread it. I was busy doing what I was doing. Basically, what I'm saying is, if you have a grammar slip, I'm not going to think of you any less. I understand because it happens to me.
Well, I won't show the audience the other things you wrote. That's between us. Right.
Oh man, I just got all of your I just got all your messages. I apologize, my phone didn't give me a notification.
Oh, that's all right. I mean, what happened was Dario messaged me, and I might as well tell the audience that we are going to do, and I've invited you to be part of it. The because what it will be is, you know, these squares at the bottom. When
yes.
when it's actually on your channel, you will not actually see the squares, unfortunately. So I like to see the squares because when the person's talking, you can see their reaction, especially when someone's watching it on a big screen and it's like high definition. So if you join Anna and I, so what it will be is Anna's interpreting style is very unusual from my experience, but it's excellent. What she does is she listens to a large amount of text. Sorry, not text. She listens to a large amount.
You told me, yeah, and then she interprets it after that, yeah.
After she's understood it, and so what might happen during the hangout is she will like listen to a section. It's like, and it also helps when you said the second half was a little bit, and then I can like put it in different terms. So, for instance, say she gets to a bit, something that Dario says that she doesn't quite understand, then she can ask me that question, and then I can explain it to her so that she has more information in order to convert that into Russian. And then also, if you have a question, that's fine. And that can, because we're doing it nice and slow anyway, we could break it up into sections. And also, by the time we do it, you know, you're a good researcher because you're an Enneagram Type 5 and an INTJ. So when you research something, you concentrate on it. And plus, you're also doing a biology degree, I think. Yeah. And so, yeah, you can understand that stuff.
Okay, I have a question, though. Yes. This is just our... okay, you said that she will listen to quite a bit of something before she interprets it. Do you think there's any error on her part? Like, I mean, if I were to listen to someone talk for 20 seconds and interpret it versus listening to someone for a few minutes and then interpret it, I fear that I will forget things and leave them out. Like, is she at least making notes, like jotting stuff down so she can remember, like, I need to interpret this, this, and this?
Well, what I did...
She's listening to so much. How is she remembering every little detail that she needs to, you know, translate?
Well, I asked Maria, who's, like, in her early 40s, and she studied typology off and on for the last 20 years, and she said she did a very good job, Anna. And plus, Anna knows a lot about, I think she studied philosophy and knows a lot about socionics. So, and she's an INFJ, and so they can have the ability to understand things like that because of the tertiary TI, they can go like a TI-NI loop. And it is unusual, but she did well. And I asked Maria how she did. And she said, well, and Victor was happy. Because Victor understands some English, but he's not prepared to talk in it. Because there's a bit of he has a reputation for writing extremely well in Russian. So this is why he doesn't want dodgy translations out there. So, for instance, he came up with the metaphor: inflation on this block leads to collapse of the mind, just as monetary inflation leads to collapse of the economy. And Dario and I were very pleased by that because of our economics. From a libertarian point of view, we went, yes. Right. Because lots of people think inflation is a good thing. They actually said in England that the cut interest rates to 0.25% because inflation's not high enough. They actually said that. Because they believe, we can talk about that in the future, the Phillips curve. They are crazy.
So who are they? Who's the they?
They are Keynesian fools. Now, let me tell you a little secret about me. When I heard that, I was listening to that in the bath, and I almost had a little cry because I'm so monetary policy is so important to me. Because I realized that the effects of what it has on the economy, it leads to these recessions because it creates artificial booms. I watched your video. I thought it was excellent. INTJ childhood and lack of girlfriends. There was a lot in that that I connected with you on. That example of you not liking mathematics when you got to a point where you were like doing the same thing again and again and again. That was an example of how the INTJ does not value SI. I call SI algorithmic logic because the reason why is I looked in a little maths book, the Collins Gem maths book, and it actually said under algorithm, like following steps and stuff, and that reminded me of algebra, where it's like people solving a problem in an unthinking way, whereas I preferred to do like Mensa questions because then I could like solve them in my own way. And whereas I didn't like algebra because it was like, oh, you're going to do this, learning all the steps. So I was with you on there. And then when you talked about it being hard to like comfort someone when they're upset. So for instance,
Yeah.
you know, now what I've got a lot better at as well, a little bit older is the ability to pick up emotions and read emotions. And like for instance, when I was younger, I could never tell the difference between good and bad acting. So I don't know how much you watch TV and movies. Is that something that stands out to you, good and bad acting, or do you not care about it?
Well, I guess yes.
Right. I never used to notice it. When I was a teenager, I would never notice the difference between good and bad acting. When I got to about 24, yes, similar age to you, then I started to notice it. So, for instance, I can be expressive, as you've seen, and Victor thinks I have accentuated FE, just in terms of like facial reactions, when I'm in a certain mode. And it would be like, you talked about certain situations in that video. If I was in like similar situations where I was around somebody, like my natural state would be to be inexpressive, but I can sort of like go into a mode where I force myself to almost like act in a certain way, to like force myself to go into a certain mode. It's like a different version of myself. And like change my mindset a little bit. But once I'm in that mode, it's like if I then get any like negative feedback, it's then like that's gone because it's like very tenuous. So for instance, like when I went through those jokes at the start, if you didn't react to them, it would like, oh, it would like then cramp my style, and then I wouldn't be able to like go on and build on that. So that's the thing with me. And I think you said in your video where you mentioned me and then Jeff, you said that you became like a different side to you came out. That's right, isn't it? You want to talk?
Yeah.
Right.
You want me to elaborate on that, or should I just let you?
Well, yeah.
Well, first off, let me say that I really wasn't sure how long I was going to make this, but I guess we can just keep going. Anyone who's interested can continue to watch. Yeah, I'm not really going to hold back because, I mean, this really isn't anything bad, and even if it was, I'm an honest person. So, yes, it is true. I just have a hard time to really feel like I can open up to someone and trust someone. And Ben, I really feel like I can do that with you. I haven't felt that with anyone else we've been on a group chat with. So I've noticed, like as soon as someone else comes on, I kind of get a little quiet, and especially when you leave, I'm like, fuck.
Oh, right. Oh, I mean, folks, can you believe it that when I hang out with a person like Hailey, and I say, sorry, I've got to leave and get some food. I mean, that is actually in the profile, Victor's INTP profile, where it's like, and so I asked him in a hangout. So it's literally true that an INTP has to like have some nice food before they can think, and he said yes. It's like they have to be right because their launcher function is SI, and Socionics sees that as like comfort sensing. So it's like they have to be comfortable. So it's weird. It's like, oh, sorry, Hailey, I'm a little bit hungry. I've got to go and get a bun or something like that. But I won't do that to you. I ate like an hour ago. Now, what I could do is to make these hangouts a little bit more fun. Well, this hangout is I've got some lines here for you of from this book, Blackadder. And then what I can show you is I can show you something. Then we can finish off the climax with my NE homework when I did a hangout on NE, and I was set homework by Victor. And I decided I'll only just do the definition. And it's like Dario Nardi's definition of NE, and Victor agreed with it. But this book, nice and cheap, because so here are some lines at the back. Right, here we go. This is Blackadder on the Scarlet Pimpernel. He's the most overrated human. It might be better if you click on your square, because then when I read these out, the audience will see your reaction. Right, here we go, here we go. So this is Blackadder on the Scarlet Pimpernel. He's the most overrated human being since Judas Iscariot won the AD 31 Best Disciple competition. Of course, he went on to betray Jesus, so got a very good winner. And then here's another one. A war hasn't been fought this badly since Olaf the Hairy, High Chief of all the Vikings, accidentally ordered 80,000 battle helmets with the horns on the inside. Now, just for the audience, the Vikings didn't actually have horns on their helmets. So I'll just...
Really? I didn't know that.
There we go.
I didn't. And I'm mostly Norwegian. No, I'm actually mostly Italian. I'm actually, no, that's not. But still, I should know this. This is my heritage. Do you know who Eric the Red was? Or Leif Erikson?
Denmark? Eric the Red? Norway?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One of those. Here's another one. On Baldric. God made man in his own image, and he would be a sad lookout for Christians throughout the globe if God looked anything like you, Baldric.
I don't know who Baldric is.
Oh, it's like this weedy assistant of Blackadder.
Okay.
Right. What else have we got here? Oh, here we go. This is the final one before we move on. For magnificent men. Oh, this is about the magnificent men. This is about like a display for like pilots in World War I, and Blackadder's having a go at them. For magnificent men, read biggest show-offs since Lady Godiva entered the royal enclosure at Ascot, claiming she literally had nothing to wear.
See, I don't know the people you're referring to, so it's hard for me to. I don't know. That Viking one got me though. That was good.
Yeah. Again, this is one of the things about American and Brit. It's like it's usually when it relies on references. Now, the popular thing is because people because Lady Godiva rode through the streets of Coventry, topless, naked on the back of a horse, but she didn't do it because she was proud of her body. She did it because of to prove a point. And the idea was that everybody looked away, apart from one boy who looked through a hole in a fence or a wall, and his name was Peeping Tom. And so that's where Peeping Tom comes from. There we go. The things we learn.
Yes.
And so what we can, if I go through my slides, because there's some funny ones in here, hopefully. I don't want to be presumptuous, but I have an idea what Hailey does and doesn't like. All right, so if you then click off your square, because so that the audience can see these grabs, right? Right. So this, I'll read this out. I don't know if you can read that out. I'll read it out. This is Avon sounding extremely. Now you saw it as part of the clip, like the Avon montage. I'll read this out. This is Avon like saying he doesn't want to watch what's going on. He wants to. Blake is sitting up in a tree. Travis is sitting up in another. Oh my God! I'm not sharing the screen. Oh dearie me. Dearie me. This is what happens in our chats as well, folks. I make a lot of mistakes, and that will right, and probably because I own up to my mistakes. Yeah, it's probably endearing. I don't know. Blake is sitting up in a tree. Travis is sitting up in another tree. Unless they're planning to throw nuts at one another, I don't see much of a fight developing before it gets light. And then Gan says, "You're never involved, are you, Avon? You ever cared for anyone?" A lot of people could have. A lot of the INTJs may have heard that. Accept yourself. And then this line from Avon. To me, it goes right to the essence of the INTJ. Like, they don't show much emotion, or like I think you agreed with this. It's like it's either like poker face or like lit up. So and in this moment and in this hangout, you've been more lit up. So it's like
yeah.
I've never understood why it should be necessary to become irrational in order to prove that you care, or indeed why it should be necessary to prove it at all. And then Villa didn't understand. It says, was that an insult or something, or did I miss something? And then Callie, the INFP, said, you missed something. All right, then. Oh, yeah, you... Oh, yes. Oh, yes, oh, yes, oh, yes. I did a little sheet a year or so ago. Right, then. Spot the mistake. Spot the comedy error in the writing.
Wait, the mistake as far as like
It's
grammar, spelling, and the mistake.
Yeah, it's a spelling mistake that is quite funny, and I didn't do it deliberately. So this is like, when I say positive, negative, it's like what's good about FI, and then what can be bad about FI if it's like used too much without any other functions to like check it, like when it's too extreme. So I like there in the top right, noticeably higher pronoun density. I love that phrase, pronoun density.
Yeah. So what is this relating to?
What is this relating to? Well,
yes.
It's a way to define the function. By showing both the negative and positive of it, it gives examples of what FI is.
Okay.
So, for instance, it is that gut feeling. It is like the conscience. It is empathy. When you have an identification, it is good for art. And I've put there FI polar is bad. So basically what that means is when this function is really weak, you get the behavior of ESTPs and ENTPs, which can be perfidious, and so they can be. You've probably noticed how maybe online the ESTPs and ENTPs can be inappropriate. So, for instance, what they tend to do is they tend to make jokes about subjects that are offensive, but they think, oh, it's funny. It doesn't matter how offensive it is, like really offensive stuff. So this is like the good things about FI, but when there's too much FI, so for instance, self-righteous, they can be self-righteous, say INFPs and ENFPs. Prone to projection. Do you remember when we did the meta model when we talked about mind reading? Where,
yeah.
But what somebody can do, so for instance, somebody can do this. They can assume, well, actually, that might be complex equivalence, but I would agree with it, though, a lot of the time. Where you think someone's looking away, that means they're not listening. So they get that. A lot of people like look at me when I'm talking to you, whereas a lot of people like they are listening perfectly fine when they're not looking at you, and it might just be that they're looking away so they can hear better, because when you look at somebody's face, it uses a lot of brain power up, because the brain has evolved where it's that's why
you're reading little expressions and yeah.
So for instance, if somebody asks you a question and you're trying to recall something, you might look away in order to think.
Right. Gotcha.
And so, for instance, we've got.
I'm looking at this, and I'm really relating to a lot of it.
Yeah, you've got a very
high. I haven't yet looked at the positive. I'm stuck on the negatives.
Right.
I do see a lot of that in myself.
But I see the positive of FI is so important. It's so important, because otherwise you have a sociopath.
Yeah. You have something in a box under good for arts. What does that say? FI something is bad.
Yeah, FI polar. Basically, it's a Socionics thing. It means place of least resistance. Victor calls it the break function. In other words, it's the weakest function in ESTPs and ENTPs. And that's because they are TI auxiliary. And so the TI suppresses the FI. Now, in your video where you talked about, you have a very clear example of your TE suppresses your FE. So, for instance, when you talked about your INTJ and seduction video, where you talked about the other girls would like flirt with the guys, whereas you're like, oh, I'm business mode. So it's like the business mode suppresses the FE, and it's like, and so you're thinking about efficiency rather than people's feelings, and those things can. Now, the interesting thing is though that when somebody is a TE Dom, they can be quite good at FE, but that might be the fact that they're extroverts, and so their attention is more towards the outside and on people. However, there is something which is outside of the Jungian functions, but does match up with temperament, and that is this, because SJs are very strong here. T5. Region T5. This, I've heard from Rachel. She has a son who's an ESTJ, and he would like come in, and if he sees like a negative expression on his mother's face, he feels really upset, even though it has nothing to do with him. He is reacting to that expression. So SJs, if they see say a frown on people's face, they react to it. It's like an objective type ethics, where I suppose it's like if you say like inbuilt, where someone can react to a baby's face and see it as cute. It's like the SJs have this. Like I said, they will feel embarrassed if they see a negative expression on someone's face. Whereas INTJ, it's like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. You know, so it's like more internally based. So this is why ISTJs, although my experience with ISTJs is probably different from yours, this is why, say, someone like my mother, she cares a hell of a lot about what people think. Whereas INTJs, not so much, unless they're close to them. Or if it's a business
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
So, for instance, in Dario's FE chapter in 8 Keys to Self-Leadership, he effectively says, improve FE because it's better for your business reputation. So it's like, it's describing it in the terms of other functions. And so, folks, if you think this is phrenology, it's not. Like, you go to Wikipedia, folks, back of the brain, occipital lobe, because the back of the head is also called the occiput. And this area here, region T6, this is very active in NJs. And Dario talks about this. Dario and Vic, there's a wonderful hangout And I'm like super excited at the start, and I sort of go, welcome to the center of the typological universe. We have like Dario Nardi and Victor Galenko in the same hangout. And we're talking about NI, so it'd be a great hangout for you, Hailey. And
yeah, definitely.
And basically they agree on the function. And like I said here, temporal lobe, interestingly enough, this does like the tone of voice. Whereas this, diction, grammar, I bet your area's active there. I'd have to look at the INTJ area, see if that's like super active. Like, so this area here.
So has Daria sworn not to interact with me since I'm a young INTJ?
No. Yes, but I don't see you as obnoxious. Because I think you have very strong FI. I think you have very strong FI. And it's almost like in this, and I've asked Maria for a list of the shifts that INTJs can have, because she's married to an INTJ, and she says that in certain circumstances there's a beneficiary shift where the INTJ acts like an INFP, because FI is very important to the INTJ, which is why you continually stress that someone being sincere is so important to you. An FI thing, the real feelings. And so here, so tone of voice, way intent. So this place personal value. So this is like extremely high in the INFP and not so much in ESTP. They have like, Dario showed their brains are like literally opposites from each other. The ESTP and INFP, which fits Socionics. And I was like so happy when I saw that, because it fits the idea in Socionics that they're completely opposite as well. And so if you come across someone who's an INFP and they think they're an INFJ, just ask them what they think of ESTP is. And if they go, then they're an INFP. And if they like fan themselves, they're probably an INFJ.
See, I don't know. Like, I haven't known people and known their type to associate, like, oh, I met this INFP, or I met this, you know, such and such. I haven't, I don't know. So I'm sure I have encountered a great deal of all different, you know, I just didn't have the luxury of knowing their type of when I was interacting with them.
Now, here's an interesting thing. Again, it's not just phonology. It's like, so you've got 4 different kinds of TI. So for instance, now, the type with the most activity in region F3, it's not INTP, they're second. The type with most activity here, ESTP, is the most activity here in deduction. The type that has most activity in categorizing and defining, INTP. Now, interestingly enough, ENTP is highest that here, so way many factors at once, so they're good poker players in terms of the mathematics. Now here, integrate vision and sensation. So ISTPs have very different brain activity from INTPs. Even though they're both TI DOMs, ISTP really uses the back of the brain. So that's why they're so good at like visual stuff. And the type that uses the back of the brain most, ISFP, and that fits Imogen Sky, and like who like photographic memory, and she was a technical artist, and she's recovering extremely well from a brain injury, and she's talked about that publicly. So I'm not talking at school now. So these are basically what you've noticed is most of these are like judging functions. Now the what interests me is that when you talked about sometimes going into a trance state, that's you going into NI mode. It's like when the whole of your neocortex, the surface of your neocortex, I say the surface because that's only really the part of the brain that can be measured with EEG. And it's like where you'll like stare off into the distance. That's when the INTJ and INFJ are in NI mode. And all of these have, and that's the Christmas tree. So what happened? That's the tennis hop pattern for SE types. So basically, with SE types, and I don't wish to be rude, there's not much going on in the brain until they're engaged, and then if it's an external thing, they focus on that external thing better than any other type because they don't get internally distracted the way MPs can. So for instance, in sports and say a fighter pilot, that is why SPs are so good at that. And that is why they're so good under pressure. The problem is when they don't get that outside stimulation, they are bored. This is why when it's better to have a more this is why education shouldn't be one size fits all. You should try to make it more vocational and hands-on for the SPs, where they can see the practical benefit of what they're learning. So, for instance, ESTPs can be very clever, and they can be like #1 type to be very clever at school, but actually not do well at school because they find it boring. And actually, I heard that ESTP is the #1 type among surgeons. Because they have to be skilled, they have to be in the moment, and not got to lose concentration, and they've got to do well under pressure. Right, so, and then this is a table. Yeah, the NE Christmas tree, that basically means what happens is, like, say with the way my brain works, there might be a bit of information over here, a bit of information. So it's like this bit switches on, that bit switches on. And it's like, it's like the Christmas tree lights flashing on, and apparently that uses a lot of energy up. And so this is why NPs can get tired after, you know. But it depends. It depends who the company is. If the company is really nice, they can go on longer, I suppose. Right. Okay. All right then. Oh yeah. So these little, because we've not got a super amount of time, we can go over this in the future. Oh yeah, something, Dario, because you have NI minus. I will rephrase that. The model of the INTP of which fits you best, because you know you're a human being, you don't have NI minus, it's just a concept. But the concept you fit is NI minus. Where is it? Where is NI minus? Where is it? Here it is. Here we go. So this is what INTJs are. INTJs are negativists. But what that means is they think a lot about potential pitfalls in order to avoid them. So this is why they can... The problem is, though, if you have an excess of this, then you don't get your business started.
What do you know?
So thinking of the past, remembering past errors and trying to prevent them from happening again. Extrapolating, looking for signs of the past repeating itself. That's how ILI, that's your type, operate. That stands for Intuitive Logical Introvert. Does that seem to fit you? Right, and then I'm here. I'm NE minus. That's basically, it's multi-angle thinking. Oh yeah, you are not T plus, you're right spinning type, so you're TE minus. Yes. TE plus types are more likely to take risks, like the ENTJ. They're more likely to take business risks, whereas ESTJs are more likely to be conservative in their business interests. They're more likely to do safe things like retail rather than speculative stuff. Now, TI minus is a little bit... This is a little bit tricky because this may be where... This is where Victor and Dario may be part. This is where it gets complicated because that sounds a little bit like SI. That does TI plus. Whereas that TI...
Can you scroll back up for a second?
Okay. Yep. Did you want to see NI again, or which bit did you want to look at?
No, TE and TI.
Okay, TE and TI. I'll just get rid of that. There you go.
I'm trying to click on this. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to read these and tell you which I identify with, because I find that I identify with both. But which am I? I'm reading off of
Oh yes, I'll just.
there's four here.
I'll just quickly say that the higher a function is in someone's stack, the more someone can use both sides of it. Because
Gotcha.
it's like, because they have a competence in that area, they can do both.
Gotcha. Okay, can you yeah, thank you.
Now, have you noticed here? Look at how Victor puts a little dig in about other schools of socionics, where he puts under TI plus. That is the logic of information socionics as well. So it's like, and he thinks everyone who likes Model A is a normalizing subtype. So it's like someone who's boring and unoriginal likes Model A, and the interesting original people like his school of socionics. So he puts there, this is the logic of synergistic socionics and the kind of structural logic characteristic of LII. So we INTPs like Victor's school. So for instance, all this. So for instance, you probably don't prefer this, but you can do this. The TI minus. So what this ends up doing is it ends up looking at the same thing from multiple angles. Now you probably do that when you're doing your research into hypertrophy, where you'll look loads of different angles at the same thing.
Yeah.
And you have a new angle now. I'm going to try and photographically remember the names Alberts, Bray, Lewis, Raff, Roberts, Watson. Molecular biology of the cell. I won't tell the audience what your reply was when you saw that.
I don't even remember what my reply was when I saw that.
Okay. Okay. Well, I was very pleased. I was very pleased that you wrote it, though. You wrote it in caps.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
I
was overjoyed, and I told.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna start reading this and do what I initially said I was gonna do. Okay. Investing to make a profit. Yes, obviously, my cells need nutrients, so making a profit is important to me. Valuing profit over usefulness, that's where I have to kind of disagree. Exchanging, raising prices. Raising prices, I can be prone to do. Constantly updating the product. Yes, all the time. I feel like it's just never good enough. It needs to always be better, and I feel like I'm constantly changing something about it to make it better. Responding to demand and quickly. Yeah. Okay, TE minus, working efficiently, using resources freely, working hard. Well, I mean, yeah, I feel like I do all that.
Yeah.
Securing the structure that has proven to work. Rationalizing one and only right decisions, stubbornly following your principles. Thorough reading of directions and drafts. That's funny. It took me 3 times to read thorough reading of direction or draft, so obviously we can
now this one,
see that I don't read things very thoroughly.
You see, the thing is here, to be honest, and I like Victor and I like his school, but I think what he's describing there is SI. I think he has categorized SI as TI plus.
Okay.
And this is one of the problems when you think deductively, where you can get yourself...
This TI I really connect with here is stubbornly following your principles. Everything else, not really.
Yeah, I think that's more the FI. Your FI launcher, FI is very... And in fact, where FI launcher, your tertiary function is like, it's very, very sensitive. But it's like, so from outside... So, for instance, if you receive like FI things from other people, so let's say sincerity, or you think somebody's like giving you good ethics, like coming from someone, that stimulates you, and then that starts your lead function, which is NI. Now, in my case, it's SI, sense of comfort and someone being caring, and someone coming over as nice. And when we chat one-to-one, that's how you come across. Right. Oh yeah. So this is me, TI minus.
Well, hopefully I'm kind of not sounding like a heckle bitch, so everyone can see that I'm not always an asshole.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of this.
And in fact, folks, you can be even nicer than this.
Thank you, Ben. I'd like to think I have a heart anyway.
Okay, so you've done TI minus. Right. Oh, there's something else. You see, okay, if you really want to look at this, okay, I will be flexible. I'm just gonna get a grab from. I've just gotta look, see. Now, while I do that, I'll put a little joke on for you. There's a good little joke. In fact, this is a good one you can look at, because this is the 7 kinds of intelligence, plus plus this was only added recently, naturalist. Now, you know, I think that's political. So if they let me be political, I would add a 9th one. Let's call logic of money. I would add that. You know, if we want to get political about it, but I can understand. So what do you think of that? I don't know if you can see all the details, or you want me to zoom in a little.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Okay. And I asked Victor about this, like, because it's politically correct to say, oh, you can't say certain types are better. Yet certain types have a preference for certain things. NTs have a preference for logic. NFs have a preference for linguistic. SPs have a preference for bodily kinesthetic. That is why if you go on a dance course, most of the people there are going to be SPs. Musical, again, a lot of those are going to be SPs. They love to do physical things. Now, again, this one is massive. Now, you can probably work out which 2 functions fit these more. Which one do you think fits FE more, and which one do you think fits FI more?
Out of which 2?
Out of interpersonal and intrapersonal.
Inter fits C, F, intra T. Though I mean, just by looking at it, I'm only saying that because I would see myself more as an intra, because I just feel like I would rather do those things over interacting and collaborating. But maybe I'm wrong.
So, okay, which one of those do you think is FI?
FI, the intrapersonal.
Yes, yeah, and of course FE. Again, look at that. It's extroverted feeling there. Or Socionics calls it ethics of emotions. That's why INTJs and ISTJs don't show much emotion. But they have a lot of emotion in the inside. Again, authentic choices. Like I said, ESTPs and ENTPs don't do this. And one ENTP I heard, his mother asked him, how do you feel about a certain girl, i.e. woman, in that context? And he said, I don't know. Whereas if someone were to ask you, you would know exactly how you felt about someone. And if you asked an INFP or an ISFP, they know exactly how they feel about everyone. They know if someone's like a close friend, an acquaintance, a business contact. Whereas ENTPs and ESTPs, it's like everyone's their friend or everyone's their enemy. They don't like categorize people into like these little boxes of how much they trust someone. So again, that's another good thing that FI is. FI judges the trust level of someone. It measures, and in socionics they call it ethics of relations. In terms of it judges the interpersonal distance between people. So like the psychological distance. And that's something that's actually coming through in this video, is that the psychological distance between me and Hailey is shorter than it is between the audience and Hailey. Sorry, audience. Some of us are lucky.
Well, yeah, no, that's accurate. I would agree with that.
Yes, you would agree that I'm lucky.
Oh, no.
It's just a joke. It's just a joke. Oh, right, this is the funny bit. This is when I gave my definition of NE in the NE Hangout. This guy, this is the exact moment when Victor Galenko agreed with Dario Nardi's version of NE. He wasn't in the Hangout, so I was like Dario's informal representative. Dario agreed, and look at the expression on this guy. He was not happy. And then look at the smile on my face. And you know what I said in the Hangout? I said, I hope you heard that, Jack.
That's great.
Here's because I do want to get onto the NE homework. Then I'll get back to the. It goes a little bit in the week. So for this, I like this. Is quite funny. So which one would you say of those? I find it's not accurate, but it's funny.
Yes.
Hippie. For perceiver. Stressed, hippie, emo, cold, know-it-all, superficial, annoying, moody. Fantastic. Oh, there. And then we got here, this one's quite good. Introvert responses to compliments. Which one are you laughing at?
The INTJ one. We will never say that to anyone. At least I would be hard pressed to say that, but I do think that sometimes.
Right.
Thanks, but I really can't take all the credit as a result of my valuable contribution to many individuals. Yes. INTJ, I know. Yes.
Right. So when you're done with this, I'll move on to a couple of pieces of modern art. Right. Now, this, folks, is my entry in a modern art competition. I thought you liked sarcasm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Looking for the photo to put up.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I saw it and I was like, it's like maybe the screen hasn't, like it hasn't shown up on the screen yet. I was literally waiting for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that is quite lovely.
Right, and then
Yes.
And this is Model G. Victor's got to have his own letters. Now that's his own letters. Now you could probably see not probably. You will see the pattern in this. In fact, you could probably work out in less than half an hour, based on this, what functions those letters correspond to. Of course, it sort of helps that it actually says INTP there, and so they go, oh, L minus.
Yeah, kind of.
You sort of know, right? Right there. So then there's that. Oh, brace yourself.
I'm braced. I just saw butt. Okay, hold on. Sorry. Oh, goodness. Lovely.
Now, that to me is an ENTP's joke. Now, I actually took that out of my main folder for slides because, you know, it's not that. This one. Oh yes, because you've got an ENFP friend. I think we've looked at this before.
Yes, my best friend will never watch this. Well, he might watch it for like 2 minutes and then get bored and not watch it. So, yes. But I love you, Betty, if you're watching this.
Right.
And I'm not making fun of you.
Right. So we've got to get on to this is now this is the Personology INTJ profile, and this is where David Kersey showed his full INTP-esque stuff. Anyway, I'll show that in future. We'll go for that in future. So this is Linda Behrens' description. So you've got INTJ and INTP, and that is essentially the difference, folks. And I got Dario's permission to show this from a book that he co-wrote and publishes. So there you go, difference between INTP and INTJ. But again, you're good at that, easily notice inconsistencies. INTJ is good at that.
Yeah, I'm reading the INTP.
Pardon?
Oh, I'm reading the INTP.
Okay, okay.
Enjoy elegant theories and models for their own sake? No way. Yeah.
There we go. There's the key thing. Put in theories to work. There's your key difference. Right. We've done Shelley Godfrey. We've done that. Oh, this is... Oh, you see, what I want to do is I want to show the NE hangout. I want to show my ENTP. I want to. Oh yes. So when I showed you this, what's that look like?
Absolutely nothing.
Take a closer look and tell me what you see.
I see two little black triangles at the top and bottom. Now I see myself because I need to shut the hell up.
I'm going to give you a minute. I'm going to give you a minute to see what is there.
Okay. An N? I don't know.
Where is the N?
It's the whole thing, but they're little triangles that are making it look like an N. I mean,
yes, that's it.
That's the only other thing. Oh, that's it. Okay.
And that's why, because no one saw it. That's why I did it in the next hangout, like an explanation.
Oh.
So that's why
Okay.
I did the explanation for people in that hangout. That's why I said this is the explanation of the big N, and this is also the explanation of the big N, or rather from the big N, Dr. Dario Nardi, who will be presenting his SI-EEG findings to the big G himself, Dr. Victor Model G Galenko, all that kind of stuff. And then additional, Dario will be visiting that London in April of this year. And
wait. So what's like? I don't get it. Like,
why did I put this in?
what was the point?
What was the point?
Yes.
Because I'm introducing the big N, Dario Nardi, the big G, Victor Galenko, Model G. And so I started, and because I thought the big N, and so I saw a connection between the big N and Dario Nardi and Victor. So it's just a way to introduce them all. And then I can do that joke about you can be EEG'd for a somewhat reasonable fee. And Dario had a laugh because he knew he was charging $220.
I'm such an effing tightwad. Uneffing tightwad. An effing? That only works if I'm saying effing. E-F-F-I-N-G.
There we go.
Yeah,
so
okay. That's ridiculous. If he ever watches this video. Down the intellectual work it'll take to look at a computer and tell me what's going on. But $220?
I'll wait.
Okay, let's continue.
I'll wait for the US dollar to collapse, and then it'll be about a third of that, and then so the exchange rate will be good. So yeah, inside the head. What I wanted to show you though is I'm going to get away from this for the moment because I want to show you something. I want to show you my special the thing I did on NE. Okay. Where is it? Because folks, we're doing another hangout after this on Red Dwarf, on Polymorph. And then we might have enough time to watch another episode afterwards. A romantic story.
Tomorrow.
Okay. By your command. By your command. Right.
I actually did not tell you, but I gave myself a 2-hour cutoff limit since I think we're already at an hour and a half. I don't know how long the polymorph review is going to take, but we might want to cut this short.
Oh, yes. What we'll do, so if we finish this in about 10 minutes, can we do polymorph?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So we'll finish on this, folks. And basically this would be Hailey going through this. So this is my presentation on NE.
Okay, you might need to zoom in just a little bit so I can read the text. I can read your writing, but not the text.
Oh, right. Okay, what I'll do is I'll go to single page, and then I'll do that.
Wow, that's neat. So intuition is not mere perception or vision, but an active, creative process that puts into the object just as much as it takes out.
And that's the key. That is where I differ from socionics, which sees potential in an object. No. Objects have properties which connect with information inside someone's brain. So, for instance, you can have 100 different people look at the same object across centuries and get different things out of that object because they have different knowledge bases to connect it to.
Right.
Right. So you've done that. You're a quick reader. So this is from Psychological Types. Do you want me to scroll up?
Yes, please.
Right, there we go. I love that so much.
Wait, you just said scroll up?
I did scroll up.
I think you mean well, I mean, technically you scrolled down on the paper, but you scrolled up with the little sidebar. Okay, I'm gonna shut up and read.
Yeah, what I do is, basically what I do is, I've got it so it's like, you know when you're on a mobile device and you move up by moving your finger down. I sort of did it like that. Because intuitively I like to do it that way.
Okay, gotcha. Similar versus each other, knowledge and ideas.
I like it when you say that. Gotcha.
Gotcha. Can't all talk with an English accent.
No. I like the gotcha because it means that good. I've understood the concept, Ben.
Yes.
And you approve.
Your pronouns right against it.
So,
okay.
welcome to my brain, NE. So, should I move on?
Yes.
All right. Could you click on my square for, say, 5 seconds so the audience can see this?
Can I what?
Oh, sorry, you've already done it. Sorry, I've been a bit dim. You already clicked on my square, so the audience will already see it. Sorry, I've been...
Yeah,
sorry,
they're not seeing me staring at the screen. Trust me, I'm not that evil. Where am I? Energy Max.
Yeah, this is from a book on creative writer. I just thought, hey, when I read that explanation, I just loved it so much. Because it fits my self-image. It might not necessarily be true, but it fits my self-image.
Okay.
Oh yeah, any Energo Max types are basically NPs in MBTI.
Okay, I was wondering about that.
Yeah. So NTPs and NFPs. And then after this is a fantastic explanation of an example of extroverted intuition. And this will be the climax of this presentation. Is it okay if I move down?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, ENTP for Douglas Adams. Everyone thinks it's ENTP. He even betrayed a friend of his. So, you know, that ticks another ENTP box. A little bit perfidious. He was writing the radio series, he ran out of ideas, and he went to his friend John Lloyd, and he actually lived in his house before then. he said, "Okay, the last 2 episodes within." But when it came around, and we're going to write the novel together. But when it came around to doing the novel, Douglas Adams said, "I'm going to write it on my own." And then he only novelised the first 4 episodes. So then he couldn't get sued because he wrote the first 4 episodes on his own. That's a little bit naughty, especially because you promised to write a novel with him, and you were living in his house before then. So that is a little bit naughty. If I'd have promised someone to write the novel, I would have said, "I'll write it with you. I'm only going to give you 20%, but I'll write it with you."
Right. Man, sneaky snake.
What, me or him?
Him.
Yeah. And also, I think he lied about writing stuff at the last moment. Because when he did actually write something at the last moment, then, yeah, that's what you get with the NTPs.
So you think that he's saying that he's writing stuff at the last minute to make it seem like he had these wonderful ideas come to him, like, oh man, I just
because when he did write something at the last minute, like the second radio series, because I would have been absolutely furious if the BBC moved up the deadline on me, because they said, "Oh, instead of it being across 6 weeks, we're going to do it across 6 days so we can get the front of the Radio Times." And so in that situation, I knew he had to, we know that he wrote it really quickly. Oh, and it didn't come out that well. So if he writes so brilliantly at the last moment, why didn't that one work very well then, Douglas? Oh, because maybe you lied about the other examples, that's why. And plus, then he also talks about how meticulous he is with the dialogue. You cannot have it both ways, Douglas.
Right. Yes.
You cannot be super meticulous at the speed of light.
Maybe he can. Maybe he can. Okay.
So do you want to move up? I mean down?
Hold on.
Yeah. I'll let you take that on board. To understand the problem. So they've been thrown out into space, gasping for oxygen. And you've got to rescue them. But any rescue attempt is extremely improbable. Right.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Right. I'm now moving down into the crux of the matter. All right. So the question then is, how do you get out of it without cheating? So I'll just say one thing to the audience. So there might have been somebody else with a completely different problem, and they may have also used the principle of use the weight of your opponent against himself to solve something completely different. And this is how NE and SI can work together, because SI likes to learn a load of information, and then NE is the connection between those pieces of information. And I probably wants to, but again, INTJs do it a lot of it as well, because you said so. So, I suppose, yes, that's it.
Wait, because I said so?
No, what I mean is, you see, I got a little bit confused between, yes, NPs are more likely to learn a load of different subjects. It is true. I mean, you're probably thinking about some ENTPs, hey, buddy, you're a mile wide and an inch deep. So you know a little bit about a load of subjects. And if you know a little bit about a load of subjects, you can make connections between them easier than, say, an INTJ that like concentrates on, say, hypertrophy fantastically.
Yeah, gotcha.
Right, there we go. And then I'll ask for your opinion on that. So
and that the improbability is the problem.
Yeah. So this is trans-contextual thinking, in which the elements are different, but the relationship between the elements is similar in terms of, if you see the relationship as the weight of your opponent against himself, if you then see it as, oh, the weight of the problem against itself, and the problem is improbability. Okay, how do I use improbability? And this is it. And this is the coup de grace. And this qualifies as meta ultra realism, in my opinion, because it is very logical, but he has taken the mickey. Which bit made you smile?
Hold on, I'm almost done.
Yeah.
And such generators are often used to break the ice of parties by making all the molecules in the hostess undergarments leap simultaneously, one foot to the left. That's great.
I thought it might be Brownian motion generator, say a nice hot cup of tea. I mean, like the precise words, not just a cup of tea, a nice hot cup of tea. Just like putting that nice in there, it just puts it up a little bit. And like the choice of comedy words, the phrasing, the rhythm. Right, and then he would talk about, oh, I wrote it and improved it. Again, Douglas, don't lie about writing stuff quickly, because you also tell all these anecdotes about how much effort you put in. Now it gets better.
Right.
Now it gets better. All right then. I love that. Partly because it's the basement of science, but mostly because they didn't get invited to those sort of parties. I'll just go back a bit. Now it's on continuous, so now you see what I mean. Many respectable physicists say they weren't going to stand for that, stand for this. Now, what I can do, Hailey, because, you know, I'm a nice person, I can send you a PDF of all of Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's books. All 6 of them. Mind you, hang on a minute, Ben, I'm an INTJ. Is there any profit in me reading this?
That is exactly what I was thinking. I apologize. I was like, Ben, I love you, but I can't do it. I still have all of the stuff you've already sent me to go through.
Yeah, I know. But that has a practical use. Well, the T's. No, I won't mention that. Yes, I suggested you buy the book 8 Keys to Self-Leadership, and you bought it like a good person. So another book sale for Dario.
Yes, Dario, I have purchased it, of course. You know, right.
Right, I'll now bump it up a bit.
Please.
Yep, there we go. Right. Which bit made you laugh? Oh, I'll ask at the end. Yeah, this was part of the hangout that was lost. I actually showed this to Dario, and the actual original hangout was 3 hours long, so half of it was lost, and we only ended up with, well, yes, a fresh cup of really hot tea.
And turn it on. Yeah.
So it startled him even more when just after he was awarded the Galactic Institute's prize for extreme cleverness, he got lynched by a rampaging mob of respectable physicists who had finally realized that the one thing they couldn't stand
One thing they couldn't stand was a smart ass. Yep.
So we've just got these little bits on genius hits a target no one else can see. So for instance, Shakespeare was able to come up with the tragedy Macbeth, which would not have been imaginable to Aristotle. Because in Greek tragedy, the hero has to be, I think it was Aristotle's translated terms would be like us but better, so a relatively good person, which was not the case with Macbeth. But the reason why people connect so much with Macbeth is that Macbeth has guilt and that he was manipulated by his wife and by the witches. That's my favourite Shakespeare play, Macbeth. And then again, what do you think of that? We want to do the there we go, a little bit on that. Marvelous.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. And then we've got this little bit here, and then we'll end because we have a hangout to do on polymorph. So I think folks can see a little bit of what our interactions are like. It's a little bit more structured, I suppose, but you know, this is sort of what it's like between the two of us. That's about as close as that we're prepared to divulge.
Yes. I agree with both the text you had on the screen and what you just said.
Marvelous. So.
Quite marvelous. 563.
Yes.
Oh shit. Oh, I'm sorry.
So,
I just got coffee all over my leg.
Oh no.
Oh yes.
Right. So that's one of the things I've got to is when I'm thinking, my mouth. Otherwise, I keep saying, "Oh yes, right." So
Yes. Shall we end this and do our polymorph? Okay. All right. Cool. I'm just gonna end it. Thank you guys. See you later.
INTJ on the time limit. Right. Okay. Bye, folks.
Bye.